All right, welcome back. And today we are going to put our trains together. So here I've got the full custom train, but right now I'm going to show you how to put this together. What we're going to do is we're going to start a new blank file. We're going to take a new file and with nothing in it, we're going to save it and we're going to call it train assembly. Now what we're going to do is to put things together, first we're going to drag in our main component, which is going to be our train body. So if you click and drag that into your workspace and then press OK to place it, we've got our train body right here. So now the other thing is we're going to be adding on parts to this that are going to move and spin, and we don't want the body to move with it. You'll see if I click and drag this around, this can move right now. So in order to avoid that from happening, up in the top left of the workspace where it says train body, you'll see a little chain link. That means it's a component that was brought into this design that was not originally designed in this file. So we're going to right click on that and we're going to click ground and then click on revert position. That'll send it back to the origin and it'll lock it in place. You'll see a little thumbtack next to the train body here. Okay. So now if I try to click and drag it, I can't because it's grounded in place. Okay. So now, let's drag in our first item. So there are two kinds of joints that we're going to be using here. There's going to be a fixed joint and a revolute joint. A fixed joint means that it is locked together and it can't move in any direction. A revolute joint means that it can spin along some common axis. Okay. So for the smokestack, I'm going to click and drag that into my workspace. And then I am going to just separate it out a little bit and then press OK to place it. Now, to get this in the correct place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the Assemble tab on the top and click the Joint button, the little icon that looks like a door hinge. And in the dialog box under the Motion tab, you'll see a bunch of different types of joints here. The only ones we're going to be using in this are rigid and revolute. You don't have to worry about any of this right now. But for the smokestack, this is going to be a rigid joint. And I want the bottom ring of my smokestack to be jointed to the bottom inside of the smokestack hole. Okay? If you do that and the smokestack disappears, that means it's underneath. So all you have to do is click the flip button and then press OK. And now this is locked in place for our smokestack position. All right, now the other one we're going to do is the wheel. So we're going to click and drag the wheel into our workspace. We're going to separate it out a little bit and then press OK. Now this type of joint, what we're going to do is this is going to be a revolute joint. So we're going to press the joint tool and under the motion tab, we're going to change the type to revolute. And then go back to position, and then I want the back inside of the wheel, this section right here, that's what I want, to be connected to the outside of one of the holes. Now again, if you get something that looks like this, it's merged together, just click flip and you'll be good to go. Okay? And then we press OK. And you'll see this wheel can actually spin now. Fantastic, right? So I'm going to add in all my other wheels. So I've got 3 wheels in the workspace now, and I am going to joint these all together. Make sure you've got a revolute mate selected, and I'm going to joint all of my wheels together. If you don't want to press the button at the top of the screen, you can always press J on your keyboard. That is the keyboard shortcut for joint. All right, we've got all 4 wheels on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is the axle pegs. The axle pegs are going to sit right on top of our wheel right here. So I'm going to drag in 4 axle pegs. And let's see, can I copy? No. All right, so we've got 4 axle pegs, and we are going to joint the bottom of the button heads to the top outside of the wheel. And again, if it looks like that, just click flip, and that's what our axle peg should look like. It should be nice and flush relative to the wheel. A tip for assembling stuff. A lot of you are going to try to joint things together from all the way out here. Do yourself a favor and zoom in on what you are trying to joint together. A lot of things will, if you're too far out, sometimes things will blend together to the computer and it won't be sure what you're trying to select. So you have to make sure that you are selecting the correct features that you want to join together. Okay, and part of that is zooming in. All right, so we've got our axle pegs in. Now let's add our linkage arms. We're going to have 2 linkage arms, and these linkage arms are going to serve to connect the front. Oops. The linkage arms are going to connect the front and the back wheels of the train. So we're going to join. These need to be Revolute mates, so make sure you are on Revolute. We're going to select the hole for the linkage arm, and then we need to mate it to the bottom of the small peg right here. Okay. Now, that doesn't look right. We want it to sit right on this small piece here. So I'm going to hit flip. This is how that should look. Okay. It should sit nice and flush. Okay. Now, here's the tricky part. To get this attached to that, we do not want to select this piece here because that won't line up properly. Well, I guess we could do that piece to the top of the peg here, and yeah, that actually works. That actually works. We could do that. But now once we get those connected, yay, those all spin. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do that to the other side. Let's get that connected to that. Flip that around. And let's get that part of the linkage arm connected to that. All right, looking good. Okay, if things don't fit together, that means your measurements are incorrect. Okay, all right, one last piece. We got our cow catcher here. So this is going to be a fixed joint. So under motion, we're going to change this to a rigid. And I want the very back of this peg to be connected to the front of that hole. And with a rigid joint, we only have to connect this once. So I'm just going to flip this around 180 degrees and then press OK. And since this joint is fixed, that's not going anywhere. That's staying where it is. Okay. And that's how we put the train together. And that's it. So now once you do this, here comes the fun stuff. So this is what our assembly is going to look like. Your task is you are going to create 2 custom cars here. You have to design a peg that fits in the back of the train. You have to design a mounting piece where you can design things on top of. So ideally, if you have like 2 or 3 parts on each of your custom cars, unless it's like complex, like I would take this as being completed because it's cool. You can reuse the wheels, you can reuse the linkage arms, you can reuse the axle pegs, which I forgot to put in here. You get the idea, but your task now is going to be you have to create things that fit on here. So if you want to know how big to make like this base piece here, that is 2 inches by 5.5 inches by 0.875 high. You can get those measurements because it's the same as this base piece here back when we made the train body. And then you'll have to do some math to figure out the location of this hole here. And then everything else should be custom designed. So the next part of this project is you are going to spend some time making your custom train. And that's going to do it. And once you get this all built, we will get it 3D printed and we will be done with the train project. So that's it for now.